All right, everybody, welcome to today's personal development lesson. I am Joel Dunn. I am here to help guide you, give you information, and share all the things I, as a leader, am currently learning. Today, we are talking about the four D's, not the four D's, the four A's of leadership development. These are the things that will help you as a leader develop your team. If you get good at these things, you have the ability to help instill these things in others. These are things that are values, and they are things that are, set in stone. It's not a tip or a trick. It's not the latest management trick to get people to do what you want. These are the things that you, as a leader, foundationally need to have as a value and a principle in order to lead others well. So, when we're going into these, just make sure that you are thinking not only about yourself, but how you can apply these to your team. And the first A is agility. You, as a leader, have to be able to make a decision on the fly. Think about it. I mean, we're here currently at the end of the month. Have things turned out the way that you wanted to for you and your team? At the beginning of the month, the plans that you put in place, the goals that you put out, are you close to them right now at the month end? Or did something happen throughout the month that you had to adjust and be agile to maybe do a different plan than what started out? See, if you stay hardcore on the original goal and it's not working, that is not smart leadership. That is not great leadership. That is you trying to force a plan that's not working to a team that doesn't understand why they're not getting results. So, are you agile enough to pivot in the middle when you see things aren't working the way that you anticipated? So, number one, agility. You have to be agile and be able to pivot when things don't turn out the way that you anticipated. Number two, you have to have adaptability. And by adaptability, we're talking about the ability for you to take on things and communicate things in a way that your team is able to understand. We've talked about all sorts of things. We've talked about personality types, personality colors, love languages, frequencies. All of those things are your ability to adapt to the person that you're leading, the person that you are serving. It's on you as the leader to get the message across to your team and to your other leaders underneath you that are leading your teams. If you don't have the ability to adapt to the way that they need to hear, the way that they need to understand, then you're missing the message. They are missing the message. They're not able to bring it to fruition. So you need to get good at understanding your team, understanding your leaders, so that you can adapt to them and you have the ability to communicate effectively. Paul in the Bible said, I am all things to all people. He said that because he wanted to be able to communicate correctly to the people that he was with at that specific moment. One message that you may convey to one leader, if you put it in their terms, and then you go to your next leader and do it in the exact same fashion, maybe they don't get it and connect that way because that's not the way that they're wired. So you have to think about, how are you going to adapt and change your style to benefit the people that you're leading? Also, when it comes to communication, guys, we talk about this quite a bit. Laughter and humor is the best way to get things across. When you tell stories and they sound funny, they have a punchline, they have something that connects to that humor portion of a person's brain, people tend to retain it and remember it more than just straight facts and figures. So, storytelling with humor is very important for sharing your ideas in your message. And then the other thing that you need to do as a leader is make sure that you're asking good questions. You know, part of being adaptable in your communication is being able to listen well enough to be able to turn around and respond appropriately. If all you do is talk, you may never listen to what it is your team needs, what it is that leader needs in order for you to communicate correctly. Some of the great questions that you should be asking is, how can I help communicate this to you? How do you feel about this right now? What do you think about this? And then listen. When you ask these questions, they are force multipliers. They allow the impact that you have in your team to be a multiplier, not just addition. So, one, agility, two, adaptability, and three, this is probably the hardest word in the English language. Nobody likes to say it, nobody likes to hear it. Accountability. See, we all like to talk about it, but when it comes to actually having to hold to it, it's the most uncomfortable thing, and it's nothing that people want to sign up for. People readily say that they want accountability, but then when accountability comes into place, they're nowhere to be found. This is a crazy trait that I think is just hardwired into our DNA. So, us as leaders, we have to work double at being accountable and holding others accountable. See, people are afraid to tell each other the truth. That is why it's so hard for people to be accountable. If you love someone, if you want the best for someone, you will sometimes have to have conversations with them that are hard. When people aren't living up or working up to the expectations that have been set, you have to have those conversations with them because it is the best thing for them. Maybe they aren't aware of what they are or aren't doing. And by you being the leader, you need to bring it up and hold them accountable. When everyone is accountable in the team gets better. And remember, this is something that everybody has to sign up for. You can't just bark commands as a manager and expect everyone to sign up, fall in line, and do the things. You are leading a volunteer army with your business. They got into business for themselves. Your job is to help guide them, but ultimately it's up to them to decide whether or not they are going to adhere to your advice, to your leadership. And again, when it comes to accountability, the best way to bring things across is with love. You are doing it because you want better for them. You know that if they know just this thing, it would help them be so much better. So when you're doing it through a lens of love. And always start your conversation when it comes to accountability on setting the ground rules of this is why I'm doing it, because it's out of love. There is a standard that you've set, and here are the expectations. And then here is the results of what you'll get if you do what it is I'm coaching you to do. Because leaders hold their team members accountable for not only their success, but the success of the team as a whole. So, number one, again, agility. Number two, adaptability. Number three, the scary one, which is accountability. And number four, attitude. You, as the leader, need to be the eternal optimist. I'm not talking about the eternal realist. You can be a realist, but the important part of being a leader is you see things in the positive, you look for the good so that you can convey it to your team to give them hope and the idea of where it is they're going because they may not be able to see it. Again, leaders go first, go further, and turn around and bring the people with them and point out the potholes not to step in. So your attitude going forward needs to be positive. You have to have a great outlook. You have to pour into everyone a winning mindset. If you have a team and you're not looking at winning, what is the point? Recreational leagues still have tournaments because people enjoy winning, people enjoy competition. When you play a game, even though it's for recreation, there's going to be a winner and a loser. So you, as the leader, need to have the winning attitude, and you need to instill that attitude into your team. Why? Because they're probably being beat down throughout the week by multiple things. And then the last thing that they want to do is come on a Zoom, come on a training, and get beat up again. So doing things with a winning attitude, an attitude of love, helps propel you and your team further than you could go. And again, here we are at month end. We've got a couple days left. You should be shouting from the rooftops all of the things that are possible for you and your team if you focus. Now, as a leader, you need to make sure that you're creating standards and values for these four. So you need to create standards so that your agility can come through, your adaptability can come through. You have a standard to hold your team and your leaders accountable to, and a standard of we are going to have a winning attitude. As a leader, one of the most important things that you can do is understand what being a leader means. These are the traits that a good leader must have and learn to master in order to be an incredible leader that instills teamwork. You have to have integrity, which causes you to get and earn respect. You have to be courageous. You have to have a selfless sense of service. We talk about servant leadership all the time. That is one of the key traits of a great leader. You have to have a sense of duty to your team. If you don't show up, no one else will show up. So it's your duty to show up and go up and do the work so that your team knows how to follow you. And finally, you have to instill trust. You have to be the one that everyone goes to when the going gets tough, because the tough ones are the ones that earn the trust. So again, to recap, today we went over the 4 A's of leadership. First one is agility. Can you pivot and make moves if things don't turn out the way you originally planned? You have to have adaptability in your communication style in order to communicate the way that your team needs to hear it, not the way that you want to get it across. Ask force multiplier questions in order to understand your team so that you can communicate effectively. Number 3, scary one, accountability. People are afraid to tell each other the truth, but you, as the leader, will tell the truth to your team in love so that you can push them further and farther than they could have ever gone on their own. And number 4, you as the leader will have a positive, winning attitude. You will be the eternal optimist. You will be the lighthouse guiding the way that everybody looks to and point the direction so that your team can go further with you than they would if they didn't have you as a leader. And again, I'm talking about you, the leader. Guys, I hope this helped. Make sure you go back through, share some of these thoughts in the comments, tag your team, tag your friends, share this with somebody who you think could benefit from hearing these things about being leaders. Guys, go out and make it an amazing day, and I hope your day is as awesome as you are.